Welcome back and thanks for sticking with us. Now let's again talk about the Beresheet lunar lander. Their mission may have been unsuccessful, but that failed mission might have successfully resulted in thousands of tardigrades, also known as water bears, to be deposited on the moon. Now, tardigrades are known to be the toughest animal in the world, or in space for this matter, and can live in absolutely any environment, even one with no atmosphere. The tardigrades, which are only 0.5 millimetre in length when fully grown, joined the Lunar Destined Journey as part of an initiative led by the Arch Mission Foundation, founded by Nova Spivak. Beresheet carried the Foundation's lunar library with 30 million page archives of human history and civilization. Human DNA samples and a few thousand dehydrated tardigrades were also on there as well. Now, as for whether any of the DNA or tardigrades are still intact, that's anyone's guess. But Spivak says that there is no reason to worry about water bears taking over the moon. Any lunar tardigrades found by future humans will have been brought back to Earth or somewhere with an atmosphere in order to rehydrate them. Now, whether this will be enough to bring them back to life, however, remains to be seen. And to tell us more about this rather bizarre story, I'm joined in studio by Dr. Ilan Samish. Dr. Ilan, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, first of all, tell us, what are water bears or tardigrades?
Tardigrades, water bear, moss piglets are the most amazing creature. And Israel, the startup nation, now conquered not only the world with its high-tech, but also the moon, landing life on the moon. We admire folks who live a little bit longer and succeed on survivor islands, but the #1 champion of resilience are the tardigrades. They are small creatures, 0.1 to 1.5 millimeter long.
Wow.
They have 8 legs, and they are everywhere. You have the marine tardigrades, you have the terrestrial tardigrades, over 1,000 species.
So we've all touched one.
We all touched one.
Is there one on me right now, maybe?
Where you have moisture with time, and the terrestrial ones, like where you have films of water, but these often dehydrate. And then they can do something called cryptobiosis. And they can become a different creature, which is called a ton. They shed their legs and they go down with their metabolism 99.99%, and they can live for a very long time. The Japanese took some tardigrades from the polar station, put them in -20 degrees for over 30 years, and then brought them back to life. After a day, they began to move their legs, and after 2 weeks, they began to eat. In another place, they were dehydrated in a museum for 120 years, came back to life.
Wow.
So they can survive in places we cannot. Over 5,000 times more radiation. NASA took them to outer space in vacuum, in cosmic radiation, in sun. They have no problem where we do. And
so just on that note, let's just say that they do inhabit the Earth and start living there. What does that mean, #1, for, the moon, I meant to say, not the Earth. What does that mean for the moon and for any future studies that might go on?
So they're so small and in such an area, and there was a blast. It didn't land in a exact place, and they did spread. So what will happen with them is a big question. They don't have food there, and they'll probably become, with cryptobiosis, remain there, and they can be brought back to life at some stage. And there is a debate on what is exactly today their situation there. They don't seem to be something that will affect the new planet where they went to, or not planet, the moon, because they're small. It's a small number of creatures, but we did spread life to an extraterrestrial location. What is more interesting about them is what we can learn from them. And the fact that they can stay in the serenity area of the moon, and maybe we can later collect them, we can understand the mechanisms in which they can work in such conditions. And these mechanisms can teach us, #1, how to treat cancer, how to find new medications to cancer. #2, how to make life, or even in the level of one protein, in a more extreme environment, like we do in our company, My Proteins, where we take sweet proteins and we change a little bit their amino acid sequence and make them such that they will live in food, which is a harsh environment where they can survive, making a healthy sugar substitute. With medications, the wisdom of tardigrades already taught us quite a bit on how to make new cancer drugs, because they have many mechanisms which we don't have to protect themselves against DNA damage. They know how to fix their DNA, which is the most precious code of life.
Okay. So these are like superhuman little animals. They're taking it, they rule the world, basically, is what you've just taught me.
Ruling the world is one thing, but they can survive, and they survived 5 different steps of extinction where most organisms did not survive, and they can continue to survive. They don't spread. Humans do much more changes to the earth than tardigrades, but they can have the ability to survive practically everywhere.
Now, Dr. Ilan, just before I let you go, I just want to ask you, ethically speaking, what do you think about humans sending biological materials to outer space, to foreign bodies outer space?
So I'm not a bioethicist, and this ethics is not my main topic. But on one hand, you can ask, do we have the right to inhabit a new place out of Earth with life? From the other extreme, you can go to evolutionary biology, which says that the main reason, the main meaning of life is to make a new generation, to spread DNA in organisms. And what we did is we did spread life in a new place. It's not our life, but it's a beginning. And this will enable us to learn how to spread life, full organisms, as well as small proteins or other mechanisms that will actually help us live longer in a better quality of life.
Well, it is very interesting indeed. I didn't know what a tardigrade was up until I heard this story, but now I'm very interested. Dr. Ilan Samish, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.